Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for tuning into another video. This time I want to talk to you guys about my relationship with food and nutrition and dieting, and also touch a little bit on fitness. So I guess my relationship with food goes all the way back to my childhood and how I was raised. My parents always tried to be really health conscious, so the food in my house was always organic. We didn't really have much junk food around, no sugary cereals. And also there was some foods that I just wasn't allowed to eat at all for religious reasons. Pork was a huge one, seafood. So the food situation in my house wasn't the worst, but since we were pretty poor, a lot of the meals were just staple type of foods. So a lot of pasta, or we'd have like shepherd's pie. I remember my dad would make nachos a lot. But the one thing that I was never taught, even though I was taught, stay away from all these sugary candies and cereals and stuff like that, I was never really taught about timing my meals or macronutrients or portion control or anything like that. And I had kind of free reign of the fridge. So I would just eat whenever I wanted to, which was an issue. Since I was never put into any sports or any sort of physical activities, I kind of started gaining a lot of weight when I was a kid. And for as long as I can remember, I was always embarrassed and ashamed of my body. And this continued through elementary school and through high school, and the bullying definitely did not help. So in my teenage years and when I was in high school, my eating habits were pretty bad, especially because I started smoking weed, so you have the munchies a lot. I had a really big sweet tooth, so I'd always be eating candy and ice cream. And since I was out with my friends a lot of the time, I never really made it home in time for the home-cooked meal that my mom had made, which was definitely better than the burgers or pizza or whatever else I was eating. So there was a lot of binge eating and late night snacks and stuff like that. So throughout high school, I just got more and more out of shape. So by the time I got into my 20s, I was in pretty bad shape and I had developed some pretty bad habits. And then when I went to film school, it was really intimidating because all the people that were there were kind of gorgeous, they were really in shape, and I felt really inadequate. So a lot of the acting classes that we had did involve some sort of physical fitness, which was really nice. So I started to get a little bit more active, and I started to go to the gym every morning, and I was doing yoga, and I was trying to keep up with my physical activity, but my diet was still really bad. I did manage to lose some weight, but it didn't really last very long. Especially when I got out of school and I moved out of my parents' house and I was living on my own, I didn't really have that much money. So my meals were pretty terrible. I also was working at a restaurant, so the access to half price off restaurant food was really bad. There was a lot of burgers and pastas and desserts, and I kind of just had a field day with that stuff. So pretty much I was on a roller coaster ride of sorts. I would gain a lot of weight and then I would freak out and then I would try something to fix it. Either I would work out really hard, or I would go on a juice cleanse or like some sort of fad diet. I remember even one time I ordered like diet pills off the internet, which was a horrible idea. It didn't work at all. It was very much so yo-yo dieting. Some things I tried worked, but never for very long. I could never stay consistent with any of them. And then during one of these 14-day juice fasts that I was doing, I was really into watching health documentaries, and I came across this one called Cowspiracy. It was a movie promoting veganism and explaining the negative effects animal agriculture was having on the planet. And then halfway through the documentary, I decided, okay, once this juice cleanse is done, I'm gonna go vegan. I'm never eating meat again. So sure enough, I started eating a vegan diet and I got really into it. And at the beginning, it was really great. I felt like my energy was up. I felt like my sleep was better. I felt like a lot of things were benefiting me. And this lasted about a year. And I did lose some weight. I think I lost around 50 pounds. At this time, I was working on movie sets a lot. When I was there, it was really hard to eat vegan because they provide the food for you, and by law they need to provide a vegetarian option, but not a vegan option. So I was finding it hard to stick with my diet when I was at work. So what I decided to do, I made a rule for myself. All right, I'll eat vegetarian when I'm on set, and then when I'm at home, I'll eat vegan. And this lasted for maybe a year and a half. But I got to the point where I was working 4 to 6 days on set, and I was eating vegetarian all the time. So I kind of just gave up, and I was vegetarian at home as well. And then over time, it became, I'll eat anything as long as it's vegetarian, which a lot of unhealthy things are vegetarian. Especially these days, there are a lot of options. There's fully vegetarian restaurants with burgers and ice cream and all this junk food. And then after a while, that 50 pounds that I had lost came right back. So I would try a lot of things to fix this. I would go to the gym on again, off again. I would try things like fasting. I would track my macros and my calories. Even if something worked and I would lose 10 pounds, I would just gain it right back. So of course I was not feeling healthy and I was feeling undernourished. So after around 4.5 years of not eating meat, I started to consider maybe I can start eating meat again. But morally, I was really struggling with that decision. I still really agree with supporting the cause in terms of helping the environment, lowering your footprint, advocating for animal rights. But on the health side, I was considering maybe this isn't the healthiest way to eat. So as soon as I made the decision to start eating meat again, I went straight to a restaurant and I ordered a steak, and I loved it. I felt like my body really needed those nutrients. And then I kind of went crazy for a couple months. I started binging on all the stuff that I had missed eating for so many years. But before I went completely off the rails, I kind of caught myself, thankfully. I started doing some more research into how I can eat healthy and still enjoy what I'm doing. And then I remembered I had heard a lot about keto when I was researching intermittent fasting before. And so I started watching some videos and reading some studies and learning more about the ketogenic diet. And I thought, hey, yeah, this looks interesting. I'm gonna at least give it a try. And after a few weeks, I started to see results and I really felt good. So now I've been keto for over 8 months and I've lost 50 pounds. And I still do intermittent fasting, and I find the combination of keto and intermittent fasting works really, really well together. So in terms of fitness, I'm not really doing much right now. I was getting really, really into it and going to the gym all the time back in January. But when the pandemic hit and I was in quarantine for a long time, that kind of stopped. But I'm really excited for my gyms to reopen again. So I still struggle with how my body looks, and I don't think that's gonna go away, but it is getting better, and I am accepting myself a little bit more and more each day. And right now I'm feeling better than I have in a really long time, and I'm really happy about that. And that's it. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.